Greetings, cozy knights. Lower your swords and rest by the fire. Tonight, we journey through the wild mysteries hidden within the lands between. Drop a comment below and tell me where you're listening from tonight. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next adventure. The Elden Beast's origin. The Elden Beast crawls from Radagon's corpse as the game's final challenge. But where did it come from originally? It's called a vassal of the Greater Will, sent to the lands between as a living embodiment of order. Some theorize it arrived as a meteor, the same way Astel and other cosmic horrors entered the world. The golden meteor shown in the opening cutscene might not be the Elden Ring itself, but the beast arriving to enforce divine law. Its alien design suggests something from beyond the stars, something that was never meant to understand mortal suffering. The Greater Will's silence. Throughout your journey, the Greater Will never speaks directly. The two fingers claim to interpret its desires, but they pause for eons between messages and offer contradictory guidance. Some players believe the Greater Will abandoned the lands between long before the shattering, leaving behind only broken systems and desperate prophets. Others think it was never sentient at all, just a cosmic force misunderstood by those seeking meaning in chaos. The silence feels intentional, as if the greatest god decided mortals weren't worth the breath. The Golden Order's foundation. Fundamentalism teaches that the Golden Order is absolute, but Goldmask discovers a flaw that shakes him to his core. What exactly did he find? His mending rune suggests he learned that the gods themselves are flawed, that divinity can be perfected. This implies the Golden Order was built on unstable ground from the beginning. Perhaps Marika knew the system was broken and tried to correct it the only way she could, by destroying it entirely. The Order's rigidity might have been its greatest weakness, unable to adapt when the world demanded change. Grace's true nature. Sites of grace guide you through the lands between, but who controls them? Melina claims Marika's will guides you, but grace appears in suspiciously convenient locations. Some players believe grace is a tool of manipulation, steering Tarnished toward outcomes that serve the Erdtree's survival. Others think grace is Marika's final act of rebellion, her way of helping anyone succeed where she failed. The fact that grace can be lost suggests it's not unconditional divine favor, but a test with specific criteria, the Tarnished selection. Why were you specifically called back to the lands between? Thousands of Tarnished returned, but only you succeed. Vare calls you maidenless immediately, suggesting something was supposed to happen that didn't. Some believe your maiden died recently, possibly killed by Vare himself to leave you vulnerable to manipulation. Others think you are never meant to have a maiden, that you're an anomaly in the system. Your ability to see grace when others can't implies you're either chosen by Marika or somehow exempt from the rules entirely. The Shattering War's duration. How long has it been since the Shattering? NPCs speak as if it happened recently, but the world shows centuries of decay. Stormvale Castle crumbles, the Erdtree dims, and entire civilizations have risen and fallen in the underground. Time in the lands between might not flow linearly. The lands are described as existing outside normal time, which could mean the Shattering happened both yesterday and 1,000 years ago. This temporal confusion might explain why everyone acts as if events are both urgent and ancient simultaneously. Godwyn's incomplete death. Godwyn died in soul, but not in body, creating the horrifying Prince of Death. His corpse spreads through the tree's roots like cancer, corrupting everything it touches. But why does his body refuse to die? Some theorize Marika's divine blood prevents true death. Others believe the rune of death was incomplete when it killed him, causing this half-death state. His body growing through the roots suggests he's merging with the tree itself. Perhaps Godwyn is becoming something new, neither alive nor dead, but a twisted third state that could birth those who live in death. The Night of Black Knives conspiracy. Who truly orchestrated Godwyn's assassination? Rani admits her involvement, but she couldn't have acted alone. The Black Knife assassins are Newman, the same rare race as Marika, suggesting the Queen herself might have been involved. Some believe Marika engineered her own son's death to break the Greater Will's hold on her. Others think Rani manipulated events to serve her own cosmic ambitions. The conspiracy goes deeper than anyone admits, with the motivations layered like veils. Each conspirator might have believed they were using the others, creating a plot with no single mastermind, destined death's removal. Marika removed destined death from the Elden Ring and gave it to Malekith for safekeeping. Why? Official law claims she wanted to grant her people eternal life, but immortality without death created stagnation. Some theorize she was afraid of dying herself, that her godhood was not as permanent as it appeared. Others believe she wanted to trap the demigods in an endless war, preventing any from dying and taking her throne. The removal of death might have been her way of freezing the world in place, stopping time's inevitable march toward change. The Mending Rune's purpose. Different Mending Runes offer various ways to repair the Elden Ring, but who created them? Goldmask crafts his through enlightenment, but others exist fully formed. Some might be fragments left from previous attempts to reshape the world. The rune of the Death Prince requires a specific quest line to obtain, suggesting it wasn't meant to exist at all, but emerged from circumstances. Each rune represents not just a different ending, but a different philosophical approach to existence itself. They're not fixes, but reimaginings of what the world could be. The Tree's thorns. Thorns seal the tree, preventing entry. Melina claims only the cardinal sin of burning the tree can open it, but why would the tree lock itself? Some believe Marika sealed it before shattering the ring, knowing someone would need to burn it to complete her plan. Others think the thorns grew naturally, the tree's defense mechanism against those who would harm it. The thorns might even be alive, conscious, serving as the tree's immune system. Their golden color suggests divine origin, but their violent rejection of entry implies fear. Marika's imprisonment. After shattering the ring, Marika was imprisoned inside the tree by the Elden Beast. But how do you imprison a god? The shackles that bind her seem inadequate for containing divine power. Some theorize Marika allowed her imprisonment, that it was part of her plan all along. By being locked away, she couldn't be forced to repair what she'd broken. Others believe the imprisonment is metaphorical, that Marika is trapped by her own divine nature, unable to escape what she's become. The shackles might be her own, created to resist the Greater Will's commands. The Golden Lineage's curse. All of Marika's children suffer curses or afflictions. Millennia has scarlet rot. Miquella is eternally young. Morgoth and Mog are omens. Godwyn's corpse won't die. These can't all be coincidences. Some believe the curses are punishment from the greater will for Marika's transgressions. Others think they're symptoms of divine inbreeding, the cost of godhood mixing with itself. The curses might even be self-inflicted, Marika's subconscious rejection of the system manifesting in her offspring. Each child carries a piece of her rebellion, whether they know it or not. The Elden Ring's true form. When you see the Elden Ring, it's a collection of arcs and runes. But what is it actually? Is it a physical object, a concept made manifest, or a mathematical formula encoding reality's laws? The fact that it exists inside Marika as a vessel suggests it's not truly material. Some theorize it's pure information, a program running the simulation of reality. Others believe it's alive in some incomprehensible way, a symbiotic being merged with its host. Its shattering might have been less like breaking an object and more like corrupting a file, causing reality itself to glitch, the rune of death's fragment. When Malekith sealed destined death, a fragment was stolen by Ranni. How did she accomplish this theft? Malekith is one of the most powerful beings alive, loyal to Marika unto death. Some believe Marika herself helped Ranni steal it, that the Queen wanted a way to defy the system she'd created. Others think Malekith let it happen, that he grew tired of being Death's jailer. The theft required knowledge only a few possessed, suggesting insider help. Ranni's success implies the security around destined death wasn't as absolute as everyone believed. The Erd tree's parasitic nature. The Erd tree is worshipped as holy, but Fia's mending rune suggests it's actually parasitic. Souls don't rest in peace, but are absorbed into the tree, their essence recycled endlessly. Some players believe the Erd tree is the Elden Beast's physical form. Its roots the prison keeping everyone trapped in eternal servitude. The custom of burying bodies and minor Erd trees feeds this system, generation after generation consumed. The tree's golden light might be a lure, beautiful but deadly, like an anglerfish's beacon. What everyone calls salvation could be the slowest form of digestion. The Age of Plenty. Before the shattering, the lands between enjoyed an age of plenty. But what made it abundant? Some describe it as paradise, others as stagnation. The plenty might have come from the Erd tree hoarding every soul, creating artificial prosperity through spiritual vampirism. Others believe it was propaganda, that the age was only plentiful for the elite, while everyone else suffered in silence. The fact that it ended so catastrophically suggests it was unsustainable, built on a foundation that could only crumble. True plenty doesn't collapse so completely unless it was illusion from the start. Malenia's scarlet bloom. Malenia claims she is the blade of Miquella and has never known defeat, but she blooms into scarlet rot multiple times. Each bloom devastates the land around her, yet she seems unaware of the destruction she causes. Some theorize the blooms are involuntary, her body's defense mechanism against death. Others believe she blooms deliberately, sacrificing her humanity for power. The fact that she blooms 3 times might be significant, a ritual of transformation from demigod to something else. Perhaps her final bloom will turn her fully into the goddess of rot she resists becoming. Miquella's eternal youth. Miquella is cursed with eternal childhood, never aging beyond a certain point. He attempted to cure himself by growing the Halik tree, but Mog kidnapped him before completion. Some believe Miquella's curse is self-inflicted, that he rejected his divinity to avoid becoming what his mother became. Others think the curse prevents something worse, that if Miquella aged, he'd become unstoppable. His slumber in Mog's cocoon seems endless. But what if he's awake inside, consciously choosing not to emerge? The cocoon might be his own creation, a chrysalis he won't leave until the world is ready for what he'll become. Saint Trina's identity. Saint Trina appears throughout the game as a mysterious figure associated with sleep. The DLC reveals that Saint Trina is Miquella's alter ego, similar to how Marika and Radagon are one. But why would Miquella create or become Saint Trina? Some believe it was an attempt to separate from his divine nature. Others think Saint Trina emerged naturally, a manifestation of Miquella's desire for peace in a world of endless war. The sleep she offers might be merciful oblivion, the only escape from suffering Miquella could provide. Her presence in the DLC as a separate entity suggests the split went deeper than anyone realized. Mog's true relationship with Miquella. Mog kidnapped Miquella and claims the young demigod will rise as a god, with Mog as his consort. But Miquella shows no signs of responding. Some players believe Mog is delusional, that the formless mother promised him something that will never come. Others think Miquella is manipulating Mog, using him as an unwitting protector. The cocoon might be a prison for Mog's ambitions, not a cradle for Miquella's ascension. Sir Gideon warns that if Miquella wakes, nothing good will come of it, suggesting the sleeping demigod is more dangerous than anyone realizes. Radahn's meteor. After being defeated, Radahn crashes to Earth as a meteor, creating the entrance to Nokron. Some believe this was deliberate, that Radahn held back the stars specifically to prevent access to the Eternal City. His mastery of gravity magic was legendary, so losing control only when defeated seems suspicious. Perhaps Radahn knew what lay beneath Nokron and wanted it sealed. Others think the stars were prisoners, cosmic beings Radahn kept from descending. His fall might have released something terrible, disguised as opening a path forward. The meteor's precision suggests it was aimed, not random, Rykard's serpent fusion. Rykard fed himself to the god-devouring serpent, merging with the creature in blasphemous union. But why? He sought strength through blasphemy, but this seems like madness rather than strategy. Some believe the serpent promised him immortality or knowledge beyond mortal comprehension. Others think Rykard was dying and saw the serpent as his only chance at survival. The fact that he's aware inside the serpent, still speaking, still ruling, suggests the fusion was more successful than it appears. He might be slowly digesting from within, consuming the serpent that consumed him. Ranni's doll body. Ranni inhabits a doll after killing her own body, but who created this doll? She mentions the Snow Witch, possibly Renala, or another figure. The doll allows her to exist without a true Empyrean body, freeing her from the Two Fingers' control. Some believe the doll is more than a vessel. It might be a magical construct that enhances her power. Others think the doll is a prison, limiting her abilities to prevent her from becoming too powerful. Her 4 arms mirror the design of certain ancient figures, suggesting the doll's design is older than Ranni herself. Morgoth's secret identity. Morgoth rules Lendel as Morgoth the Grace Given, but also appears as Margit the Fell Omen. How does he project himself to multiple locations? Some believe he uses illusion magic to guard key areas. Others think Margit is a separate entity, a fragment of Morgoth's power given form. The fact that he guards Stormvale and the capital entrance suggests he still believes in protecting the Erdtree despite his omen curse. His loyalty to a system that rejected him at birth raises questions about indoctrination, duty, and whether he truly believes or simply has nowhere else to go. Godric's grafting obsession. Godric the Grafted attached so many limbs to himself that he barely resembles a human. His great rune describes him as the golden lineage's shame, too weak to stand among true demigods. But why did grafting seem like the answer? Some believe he was searching for identity, trying to become someone by wearing parts of everyone. Others think he was attempting to reconstruct something lost, perhaps trying to remake himself into a proper heir. The dragon arm he grafts mid-fight suggests he'll attach anything if it grants power, even ancient enemies. His desperation is almost tragic, a god who never felt divine, Renala's rebirth ritual. After Radagon left her, Renala went mad and retreated into her library, performing endless rebirthing rituals. She creates sweetings, failed offspring that protect her. But where do these sweetings come from? Are they students she's rebirthing, her own children she keeps remaking, or something else entirely? The amber egg Radagon gave her contains power, but also seems to trap her in obsession. Some believe Renala is trying to bring Radagon back through rebirth. Others think she's trying to fix her own children, erasing the curse Radagon left behind. Her madness might be grief, or it might be her only rational response to abandonment by a god. Mog's blood magic origin. Mog wields blood magic unlike any other force in the lands between. He claims allegiance to the Formless Mother, an outer god who grants him power through blood. But where did this god come from? Blood magic isn't part of the Golden Order, suggesting outside influence. Some theorize the Formless Mother is another cosmic entity like the Greater Will, competing for control. Others believe Mog is delusional, that he discovered forbidden blood magic and personified it as a god to justify his actions. The Mogwyn dynasty he's building underground might be less prophecy and more delusion given architectural form. Millennia and Miquella's shadows. Every Empyrean is supposedly assigned a shadow by the two fingers. Malekith serves Marika, and Bled serves Rani. But what happened to Millennia and Miquella's shadows? Some believe they were killed or dismissed. Others think they're still out there, hidden, waiting for the right moment to appear. The absence of shadows might indicate these Empyreans rejected the system earlier than known. Or perhaps shadows were never assigned because the two fingers knew these children would rebel. The missing shadows represent incomplete control, a crack in the system's foundation. Godwyn's cult. Those who live in death worship Godwyn the Golden as the Prince of Death. But does Godwyn have any awareness of this cult? His body spread through the Erdtree's roots, but his mind presumably died with his soul. Some believe fragments of his consciousness remain, trapped in his mutating corpse, aware of what he's become. Others think the cult worships an empty shell, projecting their own desires onto a body that can't refuse. Feyr's quest to birth a rune from Godwyn suggests his corpse retains some divine power. Perhaps being half dead makes him more powerful, not less, existing in a state the Golden Order can't comprehend. Radagon's loyalty. Radagon fought to repair the Elden Ring, even as Marika tried to destroy it. Their conflict within one body raises questions about identity and will. Some believe Radagon is a construct, created by the Elden Beast specifically to counter Marika's rebellion. Others think Radagon genuinely believed in the Golden Order, that his devotion was real even if his existence wasn't. The statue puzzle revealing their unity suggests they were always divided. Perhaps every god is multiple beings pretending to be one. And Radagon and Marika's conflict is just the first time mortals noticed. The Godskin's true purpose. The Godskin apostles and nobles serve the glow-eyed queen, wielding destined death before Malekith defeated her. But what was their actual goal? Were they trying to kill all gods, or just specific ones? Some believe they were the lands between's immune system, culling divine beings when they grew too numerous. Others think they were assassins for a rival faction, tools in a war between outer gods. Their ability to wear the skin of those they kill suggests they weren't just destroying gods, but studying them, perhaps trying to become gods themselves through consumption. Miquella's needle. Miquella crafted an unalloyed gold needle capable of warding off the influence of outer gods. This implies he understood forces even the greater will couldn't fully control. The needle can suppress the frenzied flame, one of the most chaotic powers in existence. How did Miquella learn to manipulate such fundamental forces? Some believe he studied forbidden knowledge. Others think his curse gave him insight others lacked. The needle's existence proves the outer gods are not omnipotent, that mortal ingenuity can resist cosmic will. Perhaps Miquella's true goal was freedom for everyone, not just himself. Ranni's grand plan. Ranni orchestrates events across the entire game, engineering her own death, stealing destined death, and ultimately ascending to become the moon's consort. But what does she actually want? She claims to free the world from the greater will's influence, but her Age of Stars ending is ambiguous. Some believe she'll rule as benevolently as any god can. Others think she's creating a new prison, replacing one distant god with another. Her mention of a journey into the cold night of the stars suggests she doesn't plan to stay and rule. Perhaps her true goal is abandonment, leaving humanity to find its own path without any gods at all. Melina's true identity. Melina appears at the game's start, offering to guide you. She claims she was born at the foot of the Erd Tree, that her purpose was given to her by her mother inside the Erd Tree. But who is her mother? Many believe it's Marika, making Melina another demigod. Others think she might be the glow-eyed queen, based on her dialogue in the frenzied flame ending. Her missing eye parallels other significant figures in the game. Some theorize she's a fragment of Marika's conscience, split off before the shattering. Her willingness to burn to open the Erd Tree suggests she knows more than she reveals, carrying secrets even she might not fully remember. The twinned armor mystery. D, Hunter of the Dead, has a twin brother with identical armor. When D dies, his brother dons the same armor and continues his work seamlessly. But are they truly separate people? Some believe they're one soul split between two bodies, explaining how the brother knows everything D knew. Others think the armor itself is cursed, compelling whoever wears it to hunt those who live in death. The fact that both brothers serve Marika's orders suggests they're tools, programmed for a specific purpose. Their existence raises questions about identity and whether individuality means anything in a world run by gods. The Greater Will's true nature. The Greater Will supposedly created everything, sending the Elden Beast to establish order. But what is it really? Some players theorize it's not a conscious being but a natural law, like gravity or entropy. Others believe it's one of many outer gods competing for control. The fact that it communicates through intermediaries who can't agree on its will suggests it might not communicate at all. Perhaps the greater will is just what people call the universe's tendency toward order, personified by desperate mortals seeking meaning. Every prophet might be a charlatan or a madman, speaking for a god that never asked to be spoken for. The frenzied flame's origin. The three fingers offer the frenzied flame as an alternative to the greater will's order. They promise to burn everything away, reducing all existence to primordial chaos. But why does this power exist? Some believe it's the universe's immune system, designed to reset reality when it becomes too corrupted. Others think it's what remains when hope dies completely, the inevitable entropy waiting at time's end. The merchants who summoned it were driven mad by persecution, suggesting the frenzied flame feeds on despair. Perhaps it's not a god at all, but collective anguish given form. Everyone's pain merged into one burning apocalypse. The Formless Mother. Mog serves the Formless Mother, an outer god associated with blood and accursed blood magic. Unlike the Greater Will, she seems to crave violence rather than order. Some theorize she represents life's brutal cycle, the truth that existence requires consumption and suffering. Others believe she's a parasite, feeding on the pain of her followers while promising power. Her formless nature suggests she exists more as concept than creature. Perhaps she's what happens when devotion has no specific target, when worship itself becomes the god. Mog's palace sits beneath the earth, suggesting the Formless Mother's domain is foundation, the bloody ground everything is built upon. The god of rot. The scarlet rot is controlled by an outer god sealed beneath the lake of rot. This god corrupts everything it touches, turning life into death slowly. But what does this god want? Decay is natural, necessary even, but the scarlet rot seems malicious. Some believe the rot god was imprisoned to prevent it from consuming the world. Others think the imprisonment makes it malicious, that it was once a benign force of natural decay. Millennia serves as its vessel unwillingly, her curse a tether binding her to something ancient. The god's influence spreads despite its prison, suggesting containment was never absolute. The Dark Moon's significance. Rani's questline emphasizes the Dark Moon, described as her mentor and guide. But what is the Dark Moon? It's not just a celestial body, but an entity or force with its own will. Some believe it's an outer god competing with the greater will for influence. Others think it represents knowledge, specifically forbidden knowledge that the Golden Order tried to suppress. Rani's mother Renala also has lunar connections, suggesting moon worship predates the Golden Order. The moon might be humanity's natural god, the one they followed before the Erdtree arrived. Rani's Age of Stars could mean returning to this older, lunar-focused cosmology. The Deathbird's purpose. Deathbirds appear across the lands between, wielding ghost flame that burns with an unnatural pallor. They represent an ancient age before the Erdtree, when death was handled differently. Some believe they're remnants of a death cult that the Golden Order displaced. Others think they're aspects of death itself, manifestations of what death looked like before Marika sealed it away. The twin bird mentioned in item descriptions might be their progenitor, a greater entity that birthed these servants. Their continued existence proves the old ways never truly disappeared, just went into hiding. The stars' true nature. When Radon held back the stars, what was he actually holding? Stars in Elden Ring aren't balls of burning gas, but living beings or vessels carrying cosmic entities. Astel is called a natural born of the void, arriving via meteor. Some believe stars are seeds, spores sent by outer gods to infect new worlds. Others think they're cosmic eggs, waiting to hatch. Radon's gravity magic created a cage holding these things back, preventing an invasion from beyond. His death released them all at once, suggesting his war against the stars was never won, only paused. The falling stars might bring more than just portents. They might bring the end. The Crucible's mystery. The Crucible is described as the primordial form of the Erd Tree before it became golden and organized. Crucible Knights and related incantations draw power from this ancient source. But what was the Crucible actually? Some believe it was life in its purest form, chaotic and untamed. Others think it was the world before the Greater Will imposed order, when anything could happen. The Erd Tree's transformation from Crucible to Golden Tree represents the transition from chaos to law. But the old Crucible power still exists, suggesting you can't truly suppress the primordial. Aspects of the Crucible appearing in creatures like omens proves the wild chaos underneath everything. The fell god of fire. The fire giants worshipped a fell god imprisoned in the giant's forge. Marika waged war against them, nearly driving them extinct. But what was this fell god? Some believe it was an outer god of flame, rival to the Erd Tree's golden power. Others think it represented the old world's fury, refusing to submit to new divine order. The god's curse ensures the flame never dies, forcing one giant to serve as its kindling. Perhaps the fell god isn't imprisoned but patient, waiting for the flame of ruin to be kindled. The fire that can burn the Erd Tree was never truly conquered, just postponed. The primordial current. Sorcerers studied the glintstone sorceries derived from the primordial current, a stream of cosmic energy flowing through reality. Masters like Lusat and Azur pursued this current to their detriment, their bodies transforming into stone. But what is the current? Some believe it's the universe's source code, pure information that can be manipulated. Others think it's consciousness itself, thought made tangible. The current might be what remains of creation's first moment, echoes of the Big Bang still flowing. Those who study it too deeply lose their humanity, suggesting the current is fundamentally alien, incompatible with mortal minds, the Nox and their silver tears. The Nox civilization of the Eternal Cities created silver tears, shape-shifting mimics. But why? These creatures can become anyone, suggesting the Nox were studying identity itself. Some believe they were trying to create life without the Greater Will's help, attempting to usurp divine creation. Others think silver tears were meant to infiltrate the Golden Order. The Nox's banishment underground implies the Greater Will saw them as threats. Perhaps they got too close to understanding reality's true nature, learning secrets that couldn't be allowed. Their punishment was eternal darkness, buried beneath the world they tried to rival. The Fingerslayer Blade. The Nox crafted this weapon specifically to slay the Greater Will's envoys. How did they know how to kill something so fundamentally different from mortal life? The blade's design suggests they understood the two fingers on a biological level, studied them until they found a weakness. Some believe the Nox were once faithful to the greater will but turned against it. Others think they worshipped rival gods and saw the fingers as invaders. The blade's existence proves the unkillable can be killed, that divine beings have vulnerabilities if you look hard enough. Rani using it to free herself demonstrates that rebellion against the gods is possible. The Elden Star's incantation. This legendary incantation recreates the meteor that brought the Elden Beast to the lands between. But if the greater will could send one beast, why not more? Some believe the beast was a one-time envoy, that creating such beings is costly even for gods. Others think the Elden Beast was a last resort, sent when other methods of control failed. The incantation's description calls it the weapon of the Golden Order, suggesting the beast was always meant as an enforcer. Perhaps the greater will's arrival wasn't benevolent contact, but conquest disguised as salvation. The stars might be full of these beasts, each one enslaving a different world. The Albinorics creation. Albinorics are artificial life created by human hands, but their creators and purpose remain mysterious. First-generation Albinorics have frog-like features, while second-generation ones look more human but have weakened legs. Why create life at all? Some believe humans wanted to prove they could rival the gods. Others think Albinorics were weapons, soldiers designed to fight enemies humans couldn't face. Their deterioration suggests they're flawed, incomplete. Perhaps their creators died before perfecting the process, leaving the Albinorics stranded in existence. Their search for Miquella's Haligtree implies they're seeking salvation from someone, anyone, who won't treat them as mistakes. The Dragon Lord Placidusax. Beyond time itself sits Placidusax, waiting for his god to return. He predates the Erdtree, serving an earlier outer god that vanished. But where did his god go? Some believe it was killed or absorbed by the greater will. Others think it retreated, unable to compete. Placidusax's loyalty across eons is either tragic or terrifying, depending on whether his god deserves such devotion. The storm around him suggests his god was associated with tempests and lightning. Perhaps the ancient dragon's decline began when their god abandoned them. Placidusax's continued waiting might be less faith and more denial, refusing to accept he was left behind. The one-eyed god. Multiple sources reference a one-eyed god, possibly connected to the fire giants or an even older force. Melina's missing eye might mark her as this god's servant or vessel. Some believe the one-eyed god represents a cosmic triad with the greater will and the frenzied flame, three forces competing for dominance. Others think it was the world's original god, deposed when the Erdtree arrived. The eye symbolism appears throughout the game in unexpected places, suggesting this god's influence persists. Perhaps every human carries a fragment of this ancient deity, the potential to see truth existing in that one missing eye. The moon's influence. Multiple moon-related sorceries and entities suggest Earth's moon in Elden Ring is more than astronomical. Renala's full moon, Rani's dark moon, and references to lunar sovereignty imply the moon has consciousness. Some believe it's an outer god's prison, that something dangerous was locked there. Others think it's a massive glintstone, amplifying magical power. The moon's phases might affect reality more than anyone realizes, causing subtle changes in magic and fate. Rani's ascension to the moon's consort suggests she's not ruling from the moon, but merging with whatever cosmic force resides there. The stars might look down, but the moon looks back. The tarnished guidance of grace. Grace appears as golden light leading you forward, but it also vanishes in certain areas. What determines where grace appears? Some believe it only shows in places relevant to becoming Elden Lord. Others think grace is avoiding certain areas, steering you away from truths too dangerous. The fact that grace can guide multiple tarnished toward conflicting goals suggests it doesn't have a unified purpose. Perhaps grace is Marika's subconscious will, her fragmented mind trying to guide someone toward fixing her mistakes. Or maybe grace is the Erd Tree itself, a massive organism trying to survive by leading champions to restore its power. The Black Blades connection. Malekith wields destined death in the form of black blades. These weapons can kill gods, the only things capable of inflicting permanent death on divine beings. But where did this power come from? If the rune of death is sealed, how do the blades still function? Some believe the blades are part of death itself, fragments of a concept that predates the Elden Ring. Others think they're simply receptacles, channels for power Malekith draws from the sealed rune. The Black Knife assassins use similar power, suggesting there's a school of death magic the Golden Order never fully controlled. Perhaps death cannot be sealed, only redirected. The Eternal Cities fall. Nokron and Nokstella, the Eternal Cities, were buried underground by the Greater Will for invoking its ire. But what exactly did they do? Common theories suggest they defied the Golden Order or worshipped false gods. The Fingerslayer blade proves they were antagonistic toward the Greater Will's messengers. Some believe they attempted to create life artificially, with the Silver Tears and Mimic Tears as proof of their hubris. Others think they discovered a truth about the Greater Will that couldn't be allowed to spread. Their punishment was being buried alive, entire civilizations crushed beneath the earth. The fact that they survived underground suggests their defiance wasn't fully crushed, just hidden. The Mimic Tears' sentience. Mimic Tears copy whoever they encounter, becoming perfect duplicates. But do they have thoughts of their own? Cut dialogue suggests a sentient Mimic Tear who questions its own existence. This implies mimics might develop self-awareness over time. What happens when a copy realizes it's not the original? Some believe mimics are Silver Tears evolved, the Nox's creation achieving unintended consciousness. Others think they're empty vessels, thought forms without true minds. The horror of fighting yourself isn't just tactical, it's existential. Each mimic represents what you could be if you lacked free will, moving through the world on programmed instinct. The ancestral follower's purpose. The Siofra River and Ainsel River regions are home to ancestral followers who worship horned spirits and massive deer-like creatures. These beings predate the Erd Tree, following beliefs older than recorded history. But what are they actually following? The horned spirits might be ancient gods, or they could be something else entirely. Ancestors who achieved a form of immortality. Some believe the ancestral followers represent humanity before the Golden Order, when people lived in harmony with nature. Others think they're trapped in a cycle, unable to evolve because they cling to dead traditions. Their isolation underground might be voluntary, choosing to hide rather than submit. Nokstella's Silver City. While Nokron is known, Nokstella seems almost identical, but is treated as separate. Why two cities? Some believe they were twin capitals of one civilization. Others think they serve different purposes, one religious, one political. The Silver City aesthetic suggests moon worship, with Nokstella possibly dedicated to lunar gods. Perhaps the two cities represented a schism, two philosophical approaches to the same culture. Their proximity underground yet maintained separation implies they couldn't reconcile their differences even after being buried. The ruins suggest they died still divided, proving that some conflicts outlast even divine punishment. The Ant Society. Giant ants inhabit various underground areas, organized in clear hierarchies. These aren't mindless beasts, but structured societies. Some ants wear armor and wield weapons, suggesting intelligence or training. Who taught them? Some believe the ants are as old as the underground itself, evolution taking strange paths in darkness. Others think they were once something else, transformed by the underground's energies. The ant queens drop valuable items, implying they hoard wealth. Perhaps they're conscious of treasure's value, or maybe they just instinctively collect shiny things. Either way, their existence proves the underground isn't abandoned, but teeming with organized life. The Lake of Rot's purpose. Beneath everything lies the Lake of Rot, where the outer god of Rot is supposedly sealed. This isn't a natural lake, but a prison. The rot seeps upward, poisoning Kaled and other regions despite containment. But why build above a sealed god? Some believe the lake predates everything, that the lands between were built on top of it without knowledge of what slept below. Others think the lake was chosen deliberately, using the world's weight to keep the god compressed. If the seal ever breaks completely, rot would consume everything from the foundation up. The lake's existence raises the terrifying possibility that other sealed gods lie beneath different regions, waiting. The crumbling Farum Azula. This ancient city floats in space beyond time, crumbling yet somehow stable. Placidosax and Malekith reside here, guarding different forms of power. But what was Farum Azula originally? Some believe it was the ancient dragon's capital before they lost the war. Others think it's a temple, a holy site existing outside normal reality to preserve something essential. The beast clergyman's presence suggests it might be a prison or sanctuary for uncomfortable truths. Perhaps Farum Azula is where the old world went when the new one replaced it. A pocket dimension holding everything the Erdtree wanted forgotten. Time doesn't flow there because it's already ended, preserved in eternal collapse. The deep-root depths trees. Below the Erdtree's roots lies the deep-root depths, where massive ancient roots twist through the abyss. These aren't the Erdtree's roots, but something older, tangled beneath the golden tree like foundation. Some believe these are the crucibles, roots, the primordial tree that became the Erdtree. Others think they're a separate tree entirely, possibly connected to the great tree that existed before the Erdtree's arrival. The merging of Godwyn's corpse with these roots suggests they're still alive, absorbing and transforming whatever touches them. Perhaps the Erdtree is parasitic, draining the great tree slowly while everyone worships the thief above. The underground stars. Despite being deep below ground, the underground areas have stars in their sky. These can't be real stars, so what are they? Some believe they're glintstone formations creating light. Others think they're magical projections, memories of what the sky looked like before the cities fell. The stars might be conscious, observing entities planted by the Nox to watch over their fallen civilization. Perhaps they're eggs, waiting to hatch when conditions improve. The underground sky creates a sense of false normalcy, as if the buried cities are pretending they're not imprisoned. The stars might be hope crystallized, refusing to extinguish even in perpetual night. The nameless eternal city, beyond Nokron and Nokstella, lies hints of a third eternal city, unnamed and barely acknowledged. References in item descriptions suggest this city's existence but provide no location. Some believe it was erased more completely than the others, destroyed so thoroughly that only whispers remain. Others think it's hidden, that it escaped the Greater Will's wrath by concealing itself. Perhaps this city succeeded where others failed, finding a way to hide that even gods couldn't penetrate. Its absence from maps might be intentional camouflage. Or maybe the nameless city is waiting, biding time until the surface world weakens enough to return. The Godwyn corruption spread. Godwyn's corpse grows through the Erdtree's roots, erupting in deathroot throughout the lands between. Each eruption creates those who live in death, undead beings trapped between existence and oblivion. But is this spread random or directed? Some believe Godwyn's body is actively searching for something, growing toward a goal only his dead flesh understands. Others think it's simply decay, rot spreading naturally without consciousness. The fact that his face appears in multiple locations suggests either intentional placement or that he's fragmenting, splitting into multiple instances of the same entity. Perhaps Godwyn will eventually consume the entire root system, replacing the Erdtree with something half dead and infinitely patient. The walking mausoleums. These massive mobile structures contain the bodies of soulless demigods, allowing you to duplicate remembrances. But who built them? The mausoleums walk endlessly, their bells ringing in mourning. Some believe they're ancient defense systems, programmed to protect their contents. Others think they're alive in some way, mourning the demigods they carry. Their legs are stone constructs, suggesting magical animation. Perhaps they were created by Marika herself, ensuring her fallen children receive proper honor. Or maybe they're prisons, preventing the soulless demigods from contaminating the world like Godwyn did. Each step they take might be carrying something terrible far from where it could cause harm. The Jarben mystery. Jars throughout the game contain warrior remains, with living jars like Alexander showing personalities. These creatures are animated by the corpses stuffed inside them, yet they develop unique identities. How does dead flesh create consciousness? Some believe the jars aren't the containers but something else, that they're beings who consume corpses to grow stronger. Others think they're golems, magical constructs programmed with warrior instincts. The Jarben NPC proves new jars can be born, suggesting reproduction or creation. Perhaps jars are what happens when the dead refuse to return to the Erdtree, their stubborn spirits animating whatever vessel can hold them. They might be the most honest form of undeath, wearing their corpse nature openly. The Ul Palace ruins. The Ul Palace sits mysteriously in the underground, connected to neither Nokron nor Nokstella, but clearly of the same civilization. Some believe it was neutral ground, a meeting place between the twin cities. Others think it predates both, that Nokron and Nokstella were built later, trying to recapture the palace's glory. The ruins show signs of violence, suggesting it fell to war rather than divine punishment. Perhaps internal conflict destroyed the palace before the Greater Will even noticed the eternal cities, Its location deep underground implies it was always below the surface, suggesting the Nox civilization was always subterranean, that they didn't fall, but merely dug deeper. The giant ants' armor. Some ants wear remnants of armor and carry weapons, raising disturbing questions. Did they scavenge these from corpses, or were they trained? If trained, who would teach warfare to insects? Some believe the ants were experiments, the Nox attempting to create soldiers. Others think they're evolved, developed intelligence over millennia of underground isolation. The armor might be symbiotic, fungi, or growths that happen to protect while looking like metal. Or perhaps the ants remember their creators, continuing routines they were taught eons ago. Their organized military formations suggest purpose, whether learned or instinctual. An army of intelligent ants deep underground is either impressive or horrifying, depending on whether they're still following orders. The fingerprint stone shield. This shield bears a massive fingerprint, larger than any human hand. The item description mentions fingers larger than any humans, suggesting giants or something worse. Some believe this is a god's fingerprint, literal evidence of divine manipulation. Others think it's from a being that predates current gods, something so massive that humans would seem like ants. The fingerprint pattern implies intentional creation, that something physically shaped this shield. Perhaps the underground was once home to beings of enormous size, and we're exploring their ruins. The shield might be a religious artifact, showing believers their God's touch. Or it's a warning, proof that what gods consider gentle can crush mortals flat. The ants worship. In certain underground areas, ants gather around specific objects or locations in patterns suggesting reverence. They might be mindlessly following pheromone trails, or they could be worshipping in their way. Some believe ants developed rudimentary religion, creating meaning in underground darkness. Others think they're drawn to magic, that certain items emit energies ants can sense. Their gathering behavior mirrors human religious rites uncomfortably well. Perhaps worship is a natural response to consciousness, that any thinking being eventually creates gods to explain existence. Or maybe the ants found something that deserves worship, something buried so deep that humans never reached it. Their devotion might be wiser than it seems. The Dragonkin Soldier's Tragedy. These failed dragon transformations guard underground areas, neither fully dragon nor man. They represent the Nox's attempt to create dragons or become them. But what drove this obsession? Dragons were ancient powers, existing before the Erd Tree. Some believe the Nox wanted to harness dragon strength. Others think they worship dragons, trying to transcend humanity through transformation. The soldier's failure suggests the process was incomplete or flawed. Perhaps true dragon transformation requires something the Nox couldn't provide. Dragon blood, the Elden Ring's blessing, or simply time. These creatures might be conscious, aware of their failed state, guarding the underground not from duty, but having nowhere else to go. The underground rivers, the Siofra and Ainsel rivers, flow through the underground. But where do they come from, and where do they go? Underground rivers shouldn't exist at this scale without massive aquifers. Some believe these rivers are older than the surface world, that they've been flowing since before the Erd Tree. Others think they're magical constructs, created by the Nox to sustain their civilization. The rivers might be connected to the Lake of Rot, draining or feeding the sealed god below. Perhaps they're arteries in a massive organism, flowing with something more alive than water. Their endless flow without visible source suggests they loop somehow, recycling the same water eternally through impossible geography. The Numen race, Queen Marika, and the Black Knife assassins are Numen, a mysterious race barely mentioned in game. They come from outside the lands between, but where? Some believe the Numen are extraplanar, that they travelled from another reality entirely. Others think they're simply from a distant continent, immigrants who rose to divine power. The scarcity of Numen suggests either low population or intentional hiding. Perhaps they're nearly extinct, with Marika being one of the last. Or maybe they're numerous but secret, hiding their true nature. The Black Knife's loyalty to Marika despite their service to others implies Numen bonds transcend politics. Their racial characteristics might include affinity for specific magics or natural leadership, explaining Marika's godhood. The giants near extinction. The fire giants once ruled the mountaintops, but Marika waged war against them, reducing them to a single survivor tasked with guarding the forge. But why genocide? The official reason is the fell god's threat, but that seems insufficient. Some believe the giants possessed knowledge Marika needed buried, that they knew truths about the world before the Erd Tree. Others think they were simply too powerful, their flame magic a direct counter to golden incantations. The single survivor suggests Marika needed someone to tend the forge, implying she always planned to potentially burn the Erd Tree. Perhaps the giant's extinction was mercy compared to enslaving them all. Or maybe the last giant is the cruelest punishment, forcing one survivor to watch his people's legacy serve their conqueror's purposes. The Dragon Communion. Before the Erd Tree, the ancient dragons held power. Dragon Communion churches let you consume dragon hearts for power. But this transformation corrupts you slowly. Your eyes change, your body shifts, suggesting eventual complete transformation. But who established these churches? Some believe it's an ancient practice predating the Golden Order. Others think it's subversive, a cult keeping old dragon worship alive. The transformation might be intentional, a path toward becoming dragon-like. Perhaps full transformation is the goal, not a side effect. Those who consume enough hearts might eventually join the dragons, transcending humanity entirely. The churches might be recruitment centers, finding those willing to abandon human limitations. The Hornsent civilization. The Shadow of the Erd Tree DLC introduces the Hornsent, a civilization that revered those born with horns. This directly contrasts with the Lands Between's treatment of omens. The Hornsent seem to have been destroyed or scattered, their culture reduced to ruins. But what happened? Some believe Marika's forces destroyed them, that her hatred of omens extended to any who honored horns. Others think they fell to internal strife or external invasion. Their reverence for horns suggests they understood something about these growths that the Golden Order rejected. Perhaps horns channel divine power, and the Hornsent were closer to gods than anyone realized. Their fall might have been necessary for the Erd Tree's rise, eliminating competition for divine authority. The Windmill Village Mystery. The Windmill Village in Altus Plateau features elderly women dancing with flowers, performing rituals that seem disturbing. If attacked, they fight with surprising ferocity. The village connects to the Godskin Apostle, suggesting sinister purpose. But what are they actually doing? Some believe they're a death cult, their dancing a celebration of ending. Others think they're witches, performing magic disguised as innocent revelry. The flowers might be significant, possibly connected to harvesting souls or communing with dark powers. Perhaps the women are willing servants of the godskin, or they might be enslaved through magic. Their laughter might be genuine joy in madness, or it could be psychological torture, forced to dance until they die. The misbegotten's origin. Misbegotten are winged, leonine creatures treated as slaves throughout the lands between. But what created them? They seem too organized to be random mutations. Some believe they're crucible descendants, beings born when life was still finding form. Others think they were created deliberately, perhaps as servants or weapons. Their treatment as slaves suggests they once challenged human dominance and lost. Castle Morn's rebellion shows they remember better times, that they want freedom. Perhaps the misbegotten were once proud people with their own civilization, reduced to servitude by conquest. Their wings might be vestigial, suggesting they once flew or came from somewhere they no longer can reach. The omen's true nature. Omens are born with horns and considered cursed by the Golden Order. Morgoth and Mog are omens despite divine blood, suggesting the trait crosses all boundaries. But what causes the omen curse? Some believe it's genetic, a throwback to the Crucible's chaotic nature. Others think it's spiritual, that something marks certain souls before birth. The horns grow continuously, eventually killing the omen unless trimmed. This suggests they're not natural growths, but manifestations of something else. Contained power, trying to escape perhaps. The shunting of omens below cities implies the Golden Order fears not their appearance, but what they represent. Proof that the Crucible can't be fully suppressed. The perfumer's role. Perfumers appear throughout the game, using aromatic compounds for various effects. They're skilled artisans, but their knowledge seems older than the Golden Order. Some believe perfumers descend from an alchemical tradition, predating Marika's reign. Others think they're neutral scholars, serving whoever controls the land. Their ability to create healing, fire, and poison from the same base materials suggests deep understanding of transformation. Perhaps perfumers study the Crucible's principles, understanding that all matter is mutable. Their continued existence despite various regime changes implies they're too useful to eliminate, making them valuable to every faction that rises. The ancestral spirits. Massive deer-like spirits wander underground, worshipped by ancestral followers. These aren't animals but beings of power, possibly gods in their own right. But what are they? Some believe they're manifestations of the land itself, genius Loki given form. Others think they're ancestors literally, the spirits of ancient beings who achieved a form of afterlife. Their antlers reach impossible sizes, suggesting age beyond measure. Perhaps these spirits predate the Erd Tree and the Greater Will, representing the world's original gods. Their passive nature, unless attacked, implies they don't seek conflict, that they're remnants choosing to exist quietly, rather than fight for dominance they once held. The Clayman's purpose. Claymen inhabit underground areas, appearing as constructs of hardened mud. They wield magic and guard specific locations, suggesting they're more than mindless automatons. But who created them? Some believe they're Nox constructs, artificial servants predating silver tears. Others think they're natural formations given life by underground energies. Their clay composition might allow for easy repair or reformation, making them ideal eternal guardians. Perhaps they were once human, transformed into clay through magic or curse. Their presence in holy sites suggests they might be religious artifacts themselves, devotees who became their own monuments through faith-driven transformation. The demi-human tribes. Demi-humans appear throughout the lands between in various tribes. They're intelligent enough to use tools and organize socially, but their origins remain unexplained. Are they devolved humans, evolved animals, or something else? Some believe they're crucible touched, closer to life's primordial form. Others think they're artificial like Albinorics, created by forgotten hands. Their tribal structure and tool use suggest culture, but they're treated as monsters. Perhaps they're what humans were before the Golden Order civilized them, or what humans become when civilization falls. Their persistence suggests adaptability beyond most races, proving that simplicity can outlast complexity. The Ancient Dragons Covenant. Before the Erd Tree, ancient dragons ruled. When Godfrey became Elden Lord, he warred with them, eventually establishing peace through Godwyn's friendship with Fortisax. But what were terms of this covenant? The dragons clearly surrendered significant power, with Dragon Knights serving the Golden Order. Some believe the dragons were promised survival in exchange for service. Others think they were actually defeated, the covenant merely making slavery more palatable. Fortisax's devotion to Godwyn suggests genuine friendship, but one dragon's feelings don't represent the entire species. Perhaps some dragons resented the peace, viewing it as surrender. Their scattered presence around the lands between might represent exiles who refuse the covenant's terms. The Zaman Knights' history. These ancient warriors served as enemies in an earlier age, but now appear scattered as enemies or merchants. Their ice magic and bestial appearance suggest they're not human. But what civilization did they serve? Some believe they're from the age before the Erd Tree, survivors of a fallen empire. Others think they're cursed, transformed from humans into their current state. Their presence across disparate locations implies they scattered after some calamity. Perhaps they were conquerors who became conquered, their empire destroyed by Marika's rise. Or maybe they served the giants, explaining their ice magic and their current defeated state. The Wraithcallers. These mysterious figures summon spectral undead through their ghostly horns. But what gives them this power? They seem connected to the old death rites, practices predating the Erd Tree. Some believe they're priests of an ancient death god, keeping rituals alive despite new order. Others think they're cursed, bound to summon the dead eternally as punishment. Their ability to call spirits implies either necromancy or genuine divine connection. Perhaps death before destined death sealing worked differently, and Wraithcallers are remnants of that system. They might not be summoning the dead, but simply talking to them, proving Death's veil was once more permeable. The Crucible Knight's Code. These elite warriors served the Erd Tree in its crucible form, before the Golden Order refined everything. They wield powers considered aspects of the Crucible, abilities later deemed impure. But why were they allowed to continue serving? Some believe their strength was too valuable to discard despite their impurity. Others think they represent compromise, proof that even the Golden Order couldn't fully suppress the Crucible. Perhaps Crucible Knights are living reminders of what the Order sacrificed for refinement. Their continued existence might be intentional, preserved, so the Order never forgets where it came from, or they're just too dangerous to eliminate, warriors whose skills make them untouchable. The Oracle Envoys. These small, strange beings blow bubbles that harm intruders. They appear in holy places, suggesting divine service. But what are they? Their inhuman appearance and bizarre combat style mark them as fundamentally different from mortals. Some believe they're angels, the Golden Order's lowest divine servants. Others think they're constructs, animated by divine will. Their music and bubbles might be actual messages, a language only the divinely gifted can interpret. Perhaps they're recording everything. Witnesses will report to the greater will eventually. Or they're simply manifestations of the Erd Tree's immune system. White blood cells attacking infection. The puppet soldiers. In certain locations, you find soldiers who fight like puppets, their movements jerky and strange. These aren't living people, but corpses animated by magic. But who created them? The most obvious suspect is Pedia, though his motivations remain unclear. Some believe he's experimenting with necromancy. Others think he's creating an army, preparing for a conflict he knows is coming. The puppet soldiers might not need food or rest, making them perfect servants. Perhaps this magic is Karian, another secret of the Academy. Or maybe it's ancient, a technique rediscovered rather than invented. The ethical implications of using corpses this way don't seem to concern anyone, suggesting corpse use is normalized in this world. The Troll's servitude. Trolls serve as construction workers and soldiers throughout the lands between. They're clearly intelligent enough to follow complex orders, but seem enslaved. What's their origin? Some believe they're related to giants, smaller cousins conscripted when their larger kin fell. Others think they're artificial, created through magic or biological manipulation. Their stone flesh suggests either curse or adaptation. Perhaps trolls were once free, but were enslaved so long ago they've forgotten resistance. Or maybe they're naturally servile, their intelligence limited to following rather than leading. Their consistent presence across different factions implies they're too useful to free, valued for strength rather than personhood. The nomadic merchant's tragedy. Merchants hide throughout the lands between, descendants of those who summoned the frenzied flame. They were persecuted, driven underground, where despair birthed the three fingers. But what were they actually guilty of? The official story claims heresy, but that could be propaganda. Some believe they simply traded with forbidden peoples or practiced unapproved religion. Others think they knew too much, that they were keepers of historical truths the Golden Order wanted buried. Their survival, despite persecution, proves resilience. Perhaps they were never guilty of anything except existing outside approved society. Their current isolation might be self-imposed, having learned that the world above will never accept them. The Beastmen of Fara Mazula. These leonine warriors guard crumbling Fara Mazula, serving as clergy to the ancient dragons. But what's their relationship to dragons? Some believe they were created by dragons as servants. Others think they were a free people who pledged service. Their clerical roles suggest religious devotion, not slavery. Perhaps they were the first people, created when dragons ruled unchallenged. Or maybe they're transformed humans, ascending through draconic faith. Their presence in Fara Mazula, a place existing outside time, suggests they might be timeless too, serving not from duty, but because time has no meaning in their realm. They might not remember choosing to serve, existing in eternal present where the question of choice never arises. Mesmer, the Impaler. The DLC introduces Mesmer, a demigod associated with fire and snakes. His connection to Marika remains ambiguous, but his actions in the Shadowlands suggest he led a crusade there. But why? Some believe he was enforcing Marika's will, purging something dangerous. Others think he went rogue, conducting his own campaign. The snakes might be symbolic of forbidden knowledge or actual transformation. Perhaps Mesmer discovered something in the Shadowlands that changed him, making him more serpent than man. His impaling methods suggest cruelty or efficiency, depending on perspective. Maybe he's a hero viewed through the wrong lens, or a villain who believed himself righteous. The Skadutree's nature. The Shadowlands feature the Skadutree, a dark reflection of the Erd Tree. Its purple-black coloring and different growth patterns suggest corruption or alternative divinity. But what is it? Some believe it's what the Erd Tree becomes if rot or death claims it. Others think it's a separate tree entirely, possibly connected to the great tree that predated the Erd Tree. The Skadutree might represent rejected possibilities, paths Marika didn't take. Perhaps it grows from Godwyn's spreading corpse, fed by his death that isn't death. Or it could be Miquella's doing, his Haligtree's shadow twin. The Skadutree's existence proves the Erd Tree isn't unique, that divine trees can take multiple forms. The Land of Shadow Separation. The Shadowlands exist in a realm separated from the mainlands between. How did this separation occur? Some believe it was punishment. Certain lands banished for crimes against the Golden Order. Others think it was voluntary, peoples choosing to leave rather than submit. The separation might be geographical or metaphysical, existing in parallel rather than distant. Perhaps entering the Shadowlands means traveling through dimensions, not distance. The veil between worlds might have been thin once, allowing free movement. Marika might have sealed it, hiding away secrets too dangerous to remain accessible. Or the seal is weakening, the Shadowlands bleeding back into reality. St. Trina's Garden. Deep in the DLC lies a garden where St. Trina rests, surrounded by purple flowers. This confirms St. Trina's existence and ties to Miquella. But what is this garden? Some believe it's a dream made real, Miquella's subconscious given form. Others think it's an outer god's realm, that St. Trina serves forces beyond the Golden Order. The flowers induce sleep, suggesting the garden is meant to keep something dormant. Perhaps Miquella split himself, leaving St. Trina behind to preserve some aspect of his being. Or St. Trina is what Miquella cast off, the part of himself he rejected to pursue godhood. The garden might be less sanctuary and more prison, beauty disguising captivity. Mater, mother of fingers. The DLC reveals Mater, described as the mother of the two fingers. This entity challenges everything known about the Greater Will's messengers. If fingers have a mother, they're biological rather than divine projections. But what is Meta? Some believe she's an alien creature, the Greater Will's first emissary, who birthed lesser fingers. Others think she's corrupted, that whatever she once was has degraded over eons. Her title as mother suggests reproduction, implying fingers can be created. Perhaps the Greater Will didn't send individual fingers, but one progenitor that spawned all others. Meteor's existence raises questions about the fingers' reliability. If they're born creatures, they can make mistakes or be influenced by their mother's corruption. The Hornsent's revenge. The Haunsent in the DLC harbor deep hatred for Marika and the Golden Order. Their civilization was apparently destroyed by Marika's crusade, led by Messmer. But what actually happened? Some believe it was genocide, that Marika couldn't tolerate a culture venerating what she deemed cursed. Others think the Haunsent threatened her rule, that their power made them too dangerous to leave unchecked. Perhaps they possessed knowledge of Marika's origins, truths she wanted erased. The few surviving Haunsent might be keeping those truths alive through oral tradition. Their revenge isn't just violence, but preservation of memory, ensuring Marika's crimes aren't forgotten. The divine beast dancing lion. This boss combines multiple animals into one divine creature. Its design suggests it's not natural but constructed or manifested. But for what purpose? Some believe it's a guardian created by ancient powers to protect the Shadowlands. Others think it's a test, determining who's worthy to proceed. The dancing aspect might be ritualistic, its movements a form of prayer or spell. Perhaps it's not one beast, but many spirits working together, cooperating despite different natures. The divine beast might represent harmony through diversity, or it could show how disparate elements can be forced into unity. Its existence proves that divinity doesn't require singular form. Count Ymir's research. Count Ymir studies the stars and fingers, pursuing knowledge that seems to border on heresy. His research might explain cosmic truths the Golden Order preferred hidden. But what did he discover? Some believe he learned the greater will is distant or dead, that the fingers operate without divine guidance. Others think he found evidence of other outer gods, proving the greater will isn't supreme. Perhaps he discovered meter before anyone else, understanding the finger's true nature. His fate after the discovery might be tragic, consumed by knowledge that can't be unlearned. Or maybe he's transcendent now, having gazed into cosmic truth and emerged changed. The Shadowlands inhabitants. The people living in the Shadowlands seem different from the main game's populations. They might be refugees, criminals, or exiles. But why are they there? Some believe they were banished for crimes against the Golden Order. Others think they fled voluntarily, seeking escape from Marika's rule. Perhaps they're descendants of peoples who existed before the Erd Tree arrived, preserving old ways in isolation. The Shadowlands might be a preserve, intentionally kept separate to prevent contamination of Golden Order purity. Or it could be a dumping ground where undesirables are sent to die forgotten. Either way, their continued existence proves the Golden Order's control isn't absolute. The Scadutree Avatars. These twisted guardians defend the Scadutree, similar to Erdtree avatars but corrupted. Their existence proves the Scadutree has power and defenders. But where do they come from? Some believe they're transformed knights, cursed for failing to protect something. Others think they're born from the Scadutree itself, manifestations of its will. Perhaps they were once human but merged with the tree, similar to how Godwyn merges with Erdtree roots. Their purpose might be protection or punishment, guarding the tree from outside threats while serving as warnings. The avatars might not be separate entities, but extensions of the Scadutree, like arms reaching out from a central consciousness, Romina, Saint of the Bud. This mysterious figure seems connected to rot and transformation. Her title suggests holiness despite corruption, implying rot isn't purely evil. But what is her actual role? Some believe she's a priestess of the rot god, keeping faith while the god remains sealed. Others think she's attempting to purify rot, transforming it into something benign. Perhaps she's proof that rot can be holy, that decay is sacred in its own way. The bud reference might mean she's cultivating something, growing power through rot. Maybe she's trying to birth a new god, using scarlet rot as incubation. Or she's simply accepting what others fear, finding peace in embracing decay rather than fighting it. The Fire Knight armor. Fire Knights in the DLC wield flames different from the Fell God's fire. Their flames seem controlled, refined, suggesting a new understanding of fire magic. But who taught them? Some believe they discovered ancient techniques predating the Golden Order. Others think they're heretics, developing forbidden magic independently. Perhaps they serve Mesmer, their fire derived from his serpentine nature. The flames might be alchemical, combining natural fire with magic in ways the Erd Tree never sanctioned. Their continued existence suggests they're either hidden well or too powerful to eliminate. Fire Knights might represent what happens when warriors reject approved magic, proving innovation continues despite orthodoxy. The Abyssal Woods. Deep in the Shadowlands lies a forest described as abyssal, darker than normal darkness. What makes this place special? Some believe it's a tear in reality, a place where the boundary between worlds is thin. Others think it's cursed ground, tainted by some ancient atrocity. The woods might be alive in an unhealthy way, consciousness gone malignant. Perhaps it's where failed experiments were disposed of, mutations and mistakes gathering until the forest itself became anomalous. The name Abyssal suggests oceanic depths, implying this darkness has depth that can swallow you. Maybe the woods are growing, spreading, threatening to consume more land if not contained. Or they're receding, the darkness retreating from some approaching light. The Scorpion River Catacombs. These catacombs feature deadly basilisk statues that kill with death blight just by looking at you. But who created these defenses? Some believe they're traps protecting something valuable. Others think they're punishments, killing anyone unworthy of proceeding. The basilisks might not be statues but petrified creatures, frozen in the act of using their power. Perhaps they were alive once, transformed into eternal guardians. Their placement seems strategic, suggesting intelligent design. Maybe they're religious artifacts, tools of a death cult that worshipped instant death. Or they're practical, simply the most efficient way to kill intruders without living guards who could be corrupted or convinced to betray their posts. Theolia's devotion. This NPC is obsessed with Saint Trina, seeking her voice desperately. His devotion seems religious, transcending normal worship. But what drives him? Some believe he's genuinely faithful, that Saint Trina spoke to him once and he's been chasing that peace ever since. Others think he's addicted to sleep's comfort, using religion to justify escapism. Perhaps he knows something about Miquella's plan that makes Saint Trina's preservation essential. Or maybe he's in love, his devotion less spiritual and more romantic. Theolie might represent all who seek escape through divine means, whether through faith, sleep, or death. His journey might end in peace or tragedy, depending on whether Saint Trina can answer the prayers of those who still believe. The Shadow Sunflowers. These unusual plants appear throughout the Shadowlands, larger and darker than normal sunflowers. They might be decorative or significant. Some believe they're sacred to shadow dwellers, representing light that can exist in darkness. Others think they're parasitic, drawing power from the Shadowlands' unique properties, perhaps their memories, each flower representing a person who died there. Their sunflower shape might be ironic, mockery of the Erdtree's golden sun. Or maybe they genuinely seek light, flowers growing in darkness, because they refuse to accept their environment. The sunflowers might be survivors, adapting to shadow, rather than dying in it, the divine tower of shadow. This structure mirrors the divine towers in the lands between, but exists in the Shadowlands. Its purpose seems similar, activating great runes, but its separation suggests altered function. But why build a tower here? Some believe it predates the separation, that it was always in the Shadowlands before they were divided. Others think it was constructed after, serving exiled demigods who needed their own power. Perhaps it connects to the other towers somehow, all of them part of one network. The tower might be a compass point, anchoring the Shadowlands in place. Or it's a key, capable of reuniting the severed realms if activated correctly. Its continued function suggests either maintenance by unknown hands or self-sustaining magic that persists despite abandonment. Putrid crystallians. Crystallians in the DLC show signs of rot, their crystalline forms infected with scarlet decay. This shouldn't be possible. Crystal and biological rot exist in different categories. But what caused this fusion? Some believe it's experimentation, someone testing whether rot can infect inorganic matter. Others think it's natural evolution, the rot god's power growing stronger. Perhaps the crystallians were exposed to concentrated rot, their usually impervious forms finally succumbing. Or maybe they're not infected but transformed, their crystalline nature altered rather than corrupted. The putrid crystallians might represent a new life form, neither living nor mineral, but something between. If rot can infect crystal, nothing is safe from decay. Messmer's abyssal serpent. Messmer harbors serpents within himself, visible during his boss fight. These aren't decorative but seem integral to his power. But where did they come from? Some believe they're manifestations of his guilt, sins given form. Others think they're parasites, cosmic entities feeding on him. Perhaps they're his true nature, his human form merely disguise. The serpents might be connected to the great serpent that devoured Rykard, suggesting serpent worship runs deeper than known. Maybe Messmer made a pact, trading his humanity for power. Or the serpents are prisoners, beings he captured and contained within himself. His relationship with them could be symbiotic or antagonistic, cooperation or eternal struggle trapped in one body. Patches' true nature. Patches appears in every From Software game, always betraying players. But is he immortal or simply representative? Some believe Patches is genuinely immortal, cursed to wander different worlds. Others think each Patches is different, the name a tradition among tricksters. Perhaps he's an outer god's avatar, spreading chaos playfully. His survival across ages suggests either divine protection or incredible luck. Maybe Patches knows something others don't, that survival requires abandoning honor. His betrayals might be tests, teaching players not to trust blindly. Or he's simply a merchant, knowing that memorable service, even betrayal, keeps customers returning. His true nature might be less important than what he represents, the eternal trickster who never changes because the world always needs such figures. Alexander's final request. Alexander the Warrior Jar seeks to become stronger by filling himself with warrior remains. His quest ends in Farum Azula. where he asks you to fight him to the death. But what drives this desire? Some believe he's genuinely trying to achieve greatness through combat. Others think he's tired, seeking honorable death after realizing he'll never be strong enough. Perhaps he's lonely, a living jar among dead warriors, seeking connection through battle. His final words suggest satisfaction, implying he found what he sought. Maybe being defeated by someone worthy is the victory jars seek, proof they contributed to a greater warrior's legend. Alexander might represent the quest for meaning in a world where purpose must be self-created. Millicent's identity. Millicent is connected to Millennia, possibly her daughter or a bud, a piece of the goddess that sprouted independently. Her quest involves removing the rot needle and making choices about her nature. But what is she really? Some believe she's Millennia's attempt at reproduction, the goddess creating offspring through scarlet bloom. Others think she's a clone or fragment, part of Millennia's soul that gained independence. Perhaps she's a test, Millennia wondering if her curse can be overcome by starting fresh. Millicent's choices define her, proving she's more than Millennia's shadow. Her death might feed back into Millennia, her experiences returning to enrich the goddess. Or she's fully separate now, a new being born from divine decay, Raya's serpentine truth. Raya discovers she's not human, but serpent-born, created by Tanith and Rykard. This revelation devastates her, calling her existence into question. But what does it mean to be serpent-born? Some believe she's a homunculus, artificially created. Others think she's naturally born to two beings who became serpents. Perhaps she's Rykard's attempt to create air, proof that his merged state can reproduce. Her existence challenges assumptions about identity and parenthood. Maybe being serpent-born makes her more valuable, not less, possessing capabilities humans lack. Raya's crisis isn't about what she is, but who decides that what matters. Her resolution, accepting or rejecting her nature, reflects larger questions about whether origins define us. Gideon's betrayal. Sir Gideon Ofnir, the all-knowing, eventually betrays you, claiming Queen Marika wants a lord to struggle eternally, never succeeding. But is he lying or revealing truth? Some believe he genuinely discovered this through research. Others think he's rationalizing his own failure, claiming impossibility rather than admitting defeat. Perhaps Gideon was always working for someone else, his betrayal planned from the start. Or maybe he's protecting something, believing your success would cause catastrophe. His knowledge might be incomplete, the full picture showing a different truth. Gideon's betrayal could be selfishness or sacrifice, depending on whether his claims about Marika are accurate. Nephili's lineage. Nephili is adopted by Gideon, but her true parentage remains mysterious. Her surname matches Godfrey's title, Huara Lu, suggesting connection. But how are they related? Some believe she's his descendant, carrying his bloodline. Others think she's unrelated, the name a coincidence or honor. Perhaps Godfrey had children beyond the demigods, mortal offspring who carried his strength. Nephili's questline ends with her ruling Stormvale, suggesting destiny pulled her toward leadership. Maybe she's meant to continue what Godfrey started, building kingdoms through strength rather than divine right. Or she's a second chance, proving Godfrey's qualities can exist without Marika's corruption. Her uncertain parentage might be intentional, forcing her to prove worth through actions rather than blood. Blade's inevitable madness. Blade is Rani's shadow, created to serve but programmed to betray if she defies the two fingers. His eventual madness isn't failure but design. But is he aware? Some believe Bled knows his fate, that he consciously resists programming. He knows he'll eventually obey. Others think he's genuinely ignorant, his trust in himself making the betrayal more tragic. Perhaps he's fighting constantly, every moment a battle against coded instincts. The fact that he can resist as long as he does proves will matters, even in beings created for specific purposes. Blade's tragedy isn't that he goes mad, but that he was always going to, his suffering predetermined. His resistance makes him noble, but inevitability makes him doomed. Dialos's redemption. Dialos starts as ineffectual nobleman, more concerned with honor's appearance than reality. His quest involves protecting Jarben and other Jars, eventually dying in their defense. But what changes him? Some believe he finally found something worth protecting, that caring for the helpless gave his life meaning. Others think he sought redemption for past failures, his death atonement. Perhaps he was always brave, just untested, until crisis forced him to act. Dialos's transformation suggests people can change, that nobility is actions rather than birth. His death might seem pointless, dying for Jars, but it proves he understood what matters. The weak need protection not because they're valuable, but because they're weak. Dialos died understanding what his noble upbringing never taught. Bok's transformation desire. Bok the seamster is a demi-human who wishes to become human, believing it would make him worthy. This raises questions about identity and value. But why does Bok hate what he is? Some believe society taught him self-loathing. That constant rejection convinced him he's wrong. Others think he genuinely wants to change for practical reasons, knowing humans receive better treatment. Perhaps he's chasing acceptance that will never come, not realizing rejection stems from prejudice that transformation won't fix. You can use a larval tear to change him, but it goes badly, suggesting some transformation shouldn't happen. Bok's desire reflects larger questions about authenticity versus acceptance, whether being yourself matters more than being accepted. Jarben's innocence. This small Jar NPC represents innocence in a harsh world, asking simple questions and believing in adventure. But what will happen to him? Some believe he'll eventually fill with warrior remains like Alexander, continuing the cycle. Others think his innocence will shield him, that he'll remain small and pure. Perhaps he represents new beginnings, proof that not everything must become corrupted. Jarben might seem simple, but his existence is profound, choosing optimism despite surrounding darkness. His fate connects to player choices, whether we perpetuate cycles or break them. Protecting his innocence might matter more than completing grand quests, proving small kindnesses matter in a world of gods and wars. Tanith's devotion to Rykard. Tanith remains loyal to Rykard even after his death, consuming his remains afterward. Her devotion seems absolute, transcending reason. But what drives her? Some believe she genuinely loves him, that his transformation doesn't diminish her feelings. Others think she's seeking power, consuming god flesh to gain strength. Perhaps she's completing a ritual, her consumption necessary for Rykard's potential resurrection. Or maybe she's simply mad, driven insane by serving a serpent god. Her actions disgust many, but from her perspective, she might be the most faithful of all. Tanith's devotion raises questions about loyalty's limits and whether love can exist beyond humanity. White Mask Vare's knowledge. Var knows you're maidenless immediately, suggesting inside information. Some believe he killed your maiden himself. Others think he's just perceptive or represents a system that tracks Tarnished. Perhaps he's testing you, seeing how you react to mockery. Vare serves Mog, making his early appearance suspicious. Was he recruiting from the start? His quest leads you to Mogwyn Palace, suggesting calculated manipulation. Maybe Vare represents the system's failures, pointing out problems while offering false solutions. His mocking tone might hide genuine frustration, a functionary who knows the system is broken but lacks power to fix it. Or he's simply cruel, enjoying the pain he causes. Selen's transformation. Sorceress Selen pursues forbidden knowledge of primordial glintstone sorcery. Her quest ends with her transformed into a graven mass, suggesting transformation is this path's inevitable end. But was this success or failure? Some believe she achieved enlightenment, transcending flesh for pure magical existence. Others think she failed catastrophically, her punishment for hubris. Perhaps the graven mass is a cocoon, implying further transformation awaits. Or maybe it's a warning, showing that some knowledge corrupts rather than enlightens. Selen's fate mirrors historical warnings about forbidden knowledge, but also questions who decides what's forbidden. Her transformation might be tragedy, triumph, or something between, depending on what she sought and what she found. Kenneth hates delusion. Kenneth Haight claims noble lineage and grand plans to restore proper order, yet he accomplishes nothing, depending on you for everything. But is he genuinely noble or delusional? Some believe his claims are true, that he's a legitimate heir fallen on hard times. Others think he's a fraud, a common man playing at nobility. Perhaps he was noble, but his family fell from grace, making his title technically correct, but practically meaningless. His pompous manner could be overcompensation, or simply how nobles behave. Kenneth might represent the old order's irrelevance, nobility meaning nothing when the world has moved beyond such distinctions. Or he's proof that titles without power are just words, that nobility requires more than bloodline. Fear's true purpose. Fear, the deathbed companion, gathers warmth from champions to grant it to those who live in death. Her ultimate goal is birthing a rune from Godwyn's corpse. But why? Some believe she genuinely cares about the undead, seeking to legitimate their existence. Others think she's using them for power, her compassion performative. Perhaps she's serving an outer god of death, completing a ritual for forces beyond mortal comprehension. Or maybe she's simply tired of the Golden Order's tyranny, choosing the undead because they're most oppressed. Fear's methods disturb many, but her goals might be noble. Whether she's savior or exploiter depends on whether those who live in death are suffering or simply different. Corin's lost faith. Brother Corin is a devout fundamentalist who loses faith after witnessing Goldmask's discoveries. His journey from certainty to doubt is painful to watch. But what breaks him? Some believe he can't accept that the Golden Order is flawed. Others think he discovers that his entire life was based on lies. Perhaps he realizes gods are as imperfect as mortals, shattering his worldview. Corin's crisis represents what happens when devotion meets truth. His inability to reconcile them shows that faith requiring ignorance is fragile. Maybe he eventually finds new faith, accepting imperfect divinity as better than no meaning. Or he remains broken, proof that some truths destroy rather than enlighten. Boggart's past crimes. Blackguard Boggart is a criminal who threatens Raya, but later becomes helpful. His gruff exterior hides complexity. But what crimes did he commit? Some believe he was violent, his threats to Raya reflecting his nature. Others think he was desperate, committing crimes for survival rather than malice. Perhaps he was framed, his criminal status a misunderstanding. Boggart's redemption arc, if it can be called that, suggests people are more than their worst acts. His death serving you implies he found purpose protecting others. Maybe criminals exist because the system fails them, and Boggart represents wasted potential finally fulfilled. Or he's simply pragmatic, helping because you're useful, his growth less moral than strategic. Seluvis's puppet scheme. Preceptor. Seluvis creates puppets from people, turning them into mindless servants. His scheme to puppet Rani reveals his depravity. But why does he do this? Some believe he seeks control, unable to form genuine relationships. Others think he's experimenting, studying consciousness through its removal. Perhaps he serves darker masters, his puppets offerings to something worse. Or maybe he's simply evil, enjoying the power to destroy identities. Seluvis's scheme raises questions about consent and personhood. Are puppets dead or transformed? Do they suffer, trapped in paralyzed bodies? His fate, apparently becoming a puppet himself, suggests poetic justice, but who puppeted him remains mysterious. Gurank's identity crisis. Gurank, the beast clergyman, is actually Malekith in another form. He doesn't seem to recognize you, suggesting either amnesia or temporal confusion. But why this separation? Some believe Malekith split himself, creating Gurank to pursue a different purpose. Others think Farum Azula exists outside time, making Gurank Malekith's past self. Perhaps the beast clergyman is what Malekith becomes when not actively being Marika's shadow, his alternate identity emerging in off-duty moments. Or maybe it's dissociation, the trauma of holding destined death fracturing his mind. Gurank's hunger for death root might be Malekith unconsciously trying to gather all death back, re-centralizing what was scattered. His identity crisis could be literal mental illness, a being carrying too much power for one mind. Irina's death. Irina asks you to deliver a letter to her father, but is killed by Misbegotten before you return. Her death seems random, but some suspect Edgar's involvement. But why would he kill her? Some believe he didn't, that her death was truly accidental. Others think he sacrificed her intentionally, that his grief and vengeance are performance. Perhaps he needed her dead to justify claiming something he wanted. Or maybe her death was necessary for him to become who he needed to be, her loss transforming him into a weapon. Irina's story raises questions about how we process loss and whether revenge honors the dead or simply continues cycles of violence. Her father's madness after suggests either genuine grief or guilt manifesting as rage. The Erd Tree's thorns. The Erd Tree seals itself with thorns that prevent entry. These thorns appear after the shattering, suggesting the tree is protecting itself or has been sealed by another. But who controls them? Some believe Marika sealed the tree before being imprisoned, ensuring no one could access the Elden Ring. Others think the thorns grew naturally, the Erd Tree's immune response. Perhaps the Greater Will sealed it, preventing anyone from reaching the ring until the right candidate appears. The thorns might be testing you, only parting for someone willing to commit cardinal sin. Or they're a puzzle, designed so that only specific actions remove them. Their existence suggests the Erd Tree has will, conscious or programmed, that judges who may enter. The 4 Belfries portals. These towers offer portals to different locations. The Chapel of Anticipation, Nokron, and other places. But who built them and why? Some believe they're Karian constructs, magical research stations. Others think they're ancient, predating modern civilizations. Perhaps they're escape routes, created when the world was less broken. The limited charges suggest they were either incomplete or intentionally restricted. Maybe they're keys to understanding fast travel, explaining how sites of grace connect, or they're viewing windows, meant for observation rather than transit. Their presence in Liurnia suggests Karian involvement, but their technology seems different from typical sorcery. The belfries might be relics from when travel between worlds was possible, now barely functional portals to places that no longer fully exist. Miquella's Haligtree location. The Haligtree grows in an impossible location, standing where nothing should support it. Its roots don't reach ground, suggesting magical suspension. But how does it survive? Some believe Miquella's divine power sustains it entirely, making it a miracle of will rather than biology. Others think it feeds on something invisible, possibly drawing power from underground sources or ley lines. Perhaps the tree exists partially in another dimension, its visible form just a projection. The rot infesting it despite Miquella's efforts suggests the tree was always struggling, fighting for existence. Maybe the Haligtree represents hope against impossible odds, growing where it shouldn't because Miquella refused to accept limitations. Or it's dying, its impossible existence testament to how long divine will can forestall inevitable failure. The isolated divine tower. One divine tower sits isolated far from others, requiring specific items to access. Its remoteness suggests either special importance or intentional hiding. But what makes it different? Some believe it was first, the prototype for other towers. Others think it was last, built after the shattering when certain knowledge was already lost. Perhaps it was sealed by Marika, containing something too dangerous for general access. The tower might connect to a demigod whose existence was erased from history. Or it could be a control center, the one tower that can influence all others. Its isolation might be protection, for the tower or from it, ensuring that whatever power it holds can't easily spread. Liurnia's sinking geography. Liurnia of the lakes is slowly sinking, buildings half submerged, land turning to swamp. But what causes this? Some believe it's the lake of rot beneath, the sealed god's corruption eating through the earth. Others think it's magical exhaustion, the Academy's experiments destabilizing the land. Perhaps it's geological, the region built on limestone slowly dissolving. Or maybe it's intentional. Renala's grief manifesting as environmental decay. The sinking might represent the Carian dynasty's decline, physical form matching political collapse. Each building claimed by water could symbolize knowledge lost. Maybe the sinking will eventually reveal what's beneath, the water draining away to expose underground secrets. The red sky of Caelid. After millennia bloomed, Caelid's sky turned permanently red. But why does the rot affect the sky? Some believe it's spores filling the atmosphere, particles blocking normal light. Others think it's reality bleeding, the fabric of the world stained by divine corruption. Perhaps the red sky is psychological, everyone's perception altered by trauma. Or it could be literal fire, the land still burning from the battle between Millennia and Radan. The colour might be symbolic, Caelid marked as cursed land. Maybe the sky will eventually clear if rot is purged, or perhaps it's permanent, warning that some damage can't be undone. The red might be spreading, slowly infecting neighbouring regions' skies. The walking mausoleum's paths. The mausoleums walk specific routes, never deviating. But who programmed these paths? Some believe they follow ley lines, magical currents running through the earth. Others think they're searching for something, their circuits gradually covering all ground. Perhaps they're walking sacred boundaries, maintaining wards through constant motion. Or maybe they're lost, their original destination forgotten, but the habit of walking persisting. The paths might be meaningful, forming patterns visible only from above. Maybe they're prayers, the mausoleums tracing liturgical text through their endless journeys. Or they're simply marching, the closest thing to life these magical constructs understand. Stormvale's impossible architecture. Stormvale Castle's architecture defies logic, with rooms larger than the castle's exterior should allow. Is this simply game design or intentional strangeness? Some believe the castle exists partially in multiple dimensions, its interior spaces folding through reality. Others think it's spatial magic, Carrion techniques making limited space infinite. Perhaps it's illusion, the castle much larger than it appears from outside. Or maybe it's time-based, rooms existing in different temporal states simultaneously. The impossibility might reflect Godric's delusions, his grafting madness extending to architecture. Maybe the castle itself is grafted, pieces from different structures merged into one nonsensical whole. The Academy's repurposed cemetery, Raya Lucaria. Academy has a graveyard of massive proportions, suggesting either high death rates or ancient battles. But what happened there? Some believe the Academy was built on a battlefield, former glory literally founded on death. Others think it's where failed students are buried, the price of pursuing knowledge. Perhaps it's a dumping ground for experiments, the dead result of magical research. Or maybe it's defensive, a necromantic army ready to rise if the Academy is threatened. The cemetery's size suggests either long history or catastrophic event. Maybe it commemorates war with the Cuckoo Knights, or predates the Academy entirely. The building constructed atop sacred burial ground. The minor Erd Tree's autonomy. Minor Erd Trees dot the landscape, each with its own avatars. But do they connect to the main Erd Tree? Some believe they're extensions, the Erd Tree's root system made visible. Others think they're separate entities, lesser trees born from Erd Tree seeds. Perhaps they're failed attempts, experiments in creating divine trees that didn't achieve full potential. Or maybe they're intentional colonies, the Erd Tree deliberately spreading its presence. The minor Erd Trees might compete with each other, each trying to become the next major tree. Or they're cooperative, working together to strengthen the overall system. Their existence suggests the Erd Tree can reproduce, raising questions about what happens if one minor Erd Tree grows stronger than its parent. Consecrated Snowfield's perpetual storm. This region experiences constant snowstorm, visibility near zero. The weather seems unnatural, maintained by magical means. But why? Some believe it's defensive, hiding the Haligtree from casual discovery. Others think it's environmental collapse, the land dying from overuse or conflict. Perhaps it's spiritual, the storm manifesting collective grief. Or maybe it's a barrier, testing those who seek the Hallig tree to ensure only the determined arrive. The snow might be purifying, cleansing the land of outside influence, or it's imprisoning, preventing something from escaping. The perpetual nature suggests either infinite power source or a system trapped in loop, repeating the same pattern endlessly. The dragon barrow's isolation. Northern Caelid, the dragon barrow, seems separate from the rest of the region. Its corruption is less severe, its dragons more active. But why this difference? Some believe the barrow predates millennia's bloom, existing in a different temporal state. Others think it's geologically isolated, mountains preventing rot's full spread. Perhaps dragons' presence purifies the land, their ancient power resisting corruption. Or maybe the barrow is more corrupted, just in ways less visible than scarlet rot. The name suggests burial ground, implying dragons are waiting to rise. Maybe the barrow is a graveyard pretending to be a home, and the dragons there are already dead, just not lying down yet.